Today, we're going to crack open the digital safe that protects you every single second you're online. We're talking about that little lock icon in your browser, what it really is, and the lightning-fast invisible dance that makes it all happen. Think about it. You do this dozens, maybe hundreds of times a day. You click a link, and boom, almost instantly that little padlock appears, telling you everything's secure. It feels like magic, right? Well, it's not magic. It's actually a high-speed cryptographic negotiation. So how on earth does it work? In the blink of an eye, it all boils down to these 4 critical steps. Your browser and a server exchange some keys, they verify each other's identities, they derive a shared secret that no one else knows, and then they start their fully encrypted conversation. Let's break down each part of this digital dance. Okay, first things first, let's talk about what that lock icon actually represents. It's the visual cue that 2 incredibly important technologies are working together behind the scenes to build a secure tunnel for your data: HTTPS and its powerhouse, TLS. The real hero of our story is TLS, which stands for Transport Layer Security. Honestly, you can think of it as the internet's armored car service. It's protecting your data while it's in transit, making sure everything is encrypted, authentic, and hasn't been messed with. It is quite literally the S in HTTPS. And here's something that trips people up sometimes. HTTPS isn't some totally new protocol. Nope. It's just the good old HTTP we've always used, the basic language of the web, but securely wrapped inside a protective layer of TLS. So if HTTP is the mail carrier delivering your letters, TLS is the tamper-proof secret envelope they're sealed in. All right, this brings us to the first major puzzle, and it's a big one. For 2 computers to talk securely, they need to share a secret key. But how in the world do they agree on one when their entire conversation is happening out in the open, on the public internet where anyone could be listening? It's a classic problem, right? If you just send the secret key over the internet, well, anyone listening in could just grab it. So how do you create a secret between 2 parties who've never met, right under the noses of potential eavesdroppers? The solution is just pure mathematical elegance. It all kicks off with your browser sending a message called the client hello. This is its opening line. It's basically saying, hey there, I can use this version of TLS. Here are all the encryption recipes or cipher suites that I know. Here's a random number for good measure, and here's my public key share. We'll call that A for now. It's the first piece of our puzzle. So the server gets that message and replies with its own server hello. It says, awesome, I've picked this cipher suite from your list. Here's my random number, and here's my public key share, which we'll call B. And it also sends along its digital certificate, which is going to be super important in just a minute. And now for the magic trick, which is really just some very clever math. See, each side has a secret private key that it never ever shares. What they do is take their own private key and combine it with the public key they just received from the other side. So the browser combines its private key with the server's public key, and at the exact same time, the server combines its private key with the browser's public key. And here is the absolutely brilliant part. Because of the special math they're using, both of them, working independently, arrive at the exact same secret number. That number was never actually sent across the internet. An eavesdropper who only saw the public keys has no way to figure it out. Problem solved. Okay, so they've created a secret key. That's fantastic, but there's another huge problem. They securely generated this key with someone. But how does your browser know that someone is actually example.com and not some imposter pretending to be them? This is the authentication problem, and it's absolutely crucial. I mean, a secure connection to a fake website is still a total disaster, right? Your browser needs a way to verify the server's identity before it starts sending any of your sensitive info. The answer to this problem is something called a digital certificate. You can think of it like a driver's license or passport, but for a website. It's an official document, and it's issued by a highly trusted third party called a certificate authority, or CA for short. This certificate proves the server is who it says it is. So your browser acts like a really diligent security guard. It takes that certificate and runs a quick checklist. Does the domain name on the certificate match the site we're trying to visit? Has it expired? And most importantly, was it signed by a certificate authority that my browser already knows and trusts? If all 3 of those check out, green light. The server's identity is confirmed. So we have a secret key, we've verified who we're talking to, we're almost done. But modern TLS doesn't stop there. It adds a few more layers of armor just to make the communication truly bulletproof. First up is integrity. TLS doesn't just encrypt your data, it also attaches a unique digital fingerprint to every single message. So if an attacker in the middle tries to change even one tiny bit of that message while it's in transit, the fingerprint won't match on the other end. The message gets instantly rejected. It's an amazing way to prevent tampering. Next up is an incredibly important feature called forward secrecy. Now, remember how the keys for our session were generated on the fly, just for this one conversation? This means that even if a hacker, sometime in the future, manages to steal the server's main long-term private key, they still can't go back and decrypt our past conversations. Each session is its own isolated, secure fortress. And this, right here, is why modern TLS 1.3 is such a massive upgrade. See, some older methods didn't have this forward secrecy built in. If a server's main key was stolen, an attacker could potentially decrypt all of its past traffic. But with modern TLS, that's impossible. Each session key is temporary, ephemeral, and then it disappears forever. So, where do we go from here? Well, the world of cryptography never, ever stands still. The next great challenge looming on the horizon is the threat of quantum computers, which, one day, could be powerful enough to break the math we rely on today. To get ahead of this, researchers are already testing out hybrid approaches. What they do is perform the classical key exchange we just talked about, and at the same time, they perform a new post-quantum key exchange. The final secret key is then derived by combining them both. It's a belt and suspenders approach. That way, even if powerful quantum computers arrive tomorrow, these connections will still be secure. When you step back and look at it, you realize it's not just one single thing making you safe. It's a whole symphony of cryptographic parts. You've got elliptic curves for the key exchange, digital signatures for authentication, super fast encryption for the data itself, all of it working in perfect harmony to protect you. And that really brings us full circle. That tiny padlock isn't just some icon. It is the visible result of decades of brilliant work in mathematics and computer science. It's your silent guardian, executing this incredibly complex negotiation every single time you go online, keeping your digital life private and secure.